Washington, D.C., man. In this place, if you haven't been to Washington, D.C., it's like Monopoly, but it's Marvin Gardens. I mean, everywhere you turn, it is Marvin Gardens. They have, every building looks like a library. I mean, you'll go, I'm at a Subway sandwich, and next thing you know, they putting periodicals on my 6-inch wheat. It's a wild place. And I want to thank everybody that came out, as I usually do. Today's episode is brought to you by Gray Block Pizza. Gray Block Pizza, 1811 Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles. And Gray Block, it's that pizza that you need. Also, today's episode is brought to you by Laughable. Laughable is the premier podcast app. iPhone users, are you using Laughable yet? You might have heard Bert Kreischer and Ari Shaffir and some other comics recommend it, and now I want to recommend it to you for all of your podcast listening. A friend of mine, Ned, works over there, and they run a good company and a caring company. And here's why they're special. If you go to Laughable, you get their app, you go to my Laughable profile, and you'll find all the podcasts I've ever been on as a host or a guest, or somebody dropping in. Hell, if I did a drive-by shooting at a podcast, you'll be able to, at least hear me drive by in the distance. So I've had 58 guest episodes, I guess. Wow, I didn't even realize that. Once you subscribe to me on Laughable, anytime a podcast comes out that I'm on, even as a guest, they will let you know. You can subscribe to all your other favorite comics as well. You can subscribe to podcast series just like you do on a regular podcast app. Laughable's got everything. I will put a swipe up in my story so you can get a hold of those guys over there, those Laughable. So give it a try. It's 100% free. It's free. Go to the App Store and search Laughable, Laughable. Android users, it's coming in 2019. All right, let's get into the episode. Welcome, guys, and that is Christmas Greetings from America by Friedrich Thalberg. And Thalberg, I think, is hell, who knows what that is, man. That's something else. That's a real reacher. But Greetings from America is appropriate today. It's Christmas on its way. Santa, you can hear him in the distance putting his boots on, using that fingernail file on his foot. You ever get that deal, man? I don't know if you've ever been a man or if you are a man, but I remember getting, my mom had fingernail files because she had fingernails. And sometimes when I was young, I would get her file. That was the thing, I guess, when I was young. Like if I snuck into my parents' room, it was just my mother. So I got all, I'm in there, I got high heels on, I'm running, I'm putting, I would get the file sometime, a fingernail file, and I start filing. And you file, bro, I filed some of my shit, I was sharpening my elbows. I was young, I didn't know what to do. I file anything. I remember trying to file my ears down and making my ears all scabbed up on the sides, because I didn't like, the size of my ears when I was young. And then when I became older, which I have, and I'm trying, and I'm still doing, constantly. And because age is a religion that we all are subscribing to. But as I've gotten older, I'll get that fingernail file sometime. And there's an age for a man when the sides of your feet start getting hard and kind of crisping out. It's almost like your skin gets kind of like erect on the edges of your feet, and it wants to kind of fuck the sides of the world. And you got to get a file, and you got to go to town on that. And I remember the first time I ever did that, and you create a cloud of just dust. It looks like salt. And I don't think you should taste any of that, because that's not salt. Your body doesn't make salt. That's just that's dust. I mean, that's dead body that's coming off of you. And I remember getting, I don't remember the first time I did it, but I got that fingernail file and started just creating that dead body cloud around you. You just, and your feet is just smoking. That shit hits the air and it can get thick when you chiseling off that crisp. If you got that foot crisp, you chiseling that thing off. And if you smoke, sometimes it'll be yellow on the edge if you smoke a lot. Or if you take your shoes off and let your grandparents smoke by your feet, then it'll be real yellow sometimes on the edge, that crisp. And you got to chisel that off. But I don't know what we're talking about, but have I ever? I don't think I have. How are you? Where are you today? Thanksgiving's over. Are you feeling the holiday spirit? Are you starting to feel it? It gets different the holidays as we get older. At a certain point, it's not about, it's interesting, it's not about getting anymore. It really is about giving. Even at Christmas, you see, this time of year, you just want people to be joyous and you want people to be happy. I feel like, I do anyway, and I just want to try and contribute to that. But I am in Los Angeles, and I'm in Washington, D.C. Sorry. And if you can see this video on the YouTube, this shit looked like an ISIS video. This looked like a plea for help. This video, the setup we have. But I'm grateful to Ari Manis, who is featuring for me this weekend in Washington, D.C., and that he helped me set this up. He offered, it was late, we just got back from the comedy club from the Sunday show. It's 10 o'clock. And we setting this up in the hotel room, and we're leaving for the airport at 5 a.m. And we're still going to edit this bad cat. But he offered to help. And it made me feel good, man, because that's, it's just that time of year. And I want to do that. And that's what I want to do. I want to just, I want to keep my eyes open and try and be part of some solutions and just see what I could do. But happy holidays to you, whatever holiday you celebrate. I love Christmas. They got a little baby in the desert. You got to think about that, man. I mean, you got to think how much love was in the air if 3 old men went to visit a baby in the desert and Chris Hansen wasn't there. I mean, that, there was a different type of love in the air at that time. These days, one old dude shows up to a trap house in Florida or something, and next thing you know, you got federal agents and everybody. So it was just a different time. There was a lot of love in the air, and I think people loved more without any of the dark arts kind of seeping in. I think most of the love that was in people at those times was above the waist. And now some of our love, it's like an hourglass. And it's kind of, that the sand is starting to, it's the sand is starting to float down towards our crotch, So I don't want to say it too loud because it's holidays, but crotch. But yeah, man, we were in D.C. What did I do? I want to thank everybody that came out. You know how I do it. It was nice, man. We flew out, And dude, we got first class on the airplane. And first class, man, look, I don't get it all the time. You know, I've started to get it more often, and it's new to me. You know, some people probably always get first class. You know, Ariana Grande, Chris D'Elia. You know, he got first class. He rich. I don't know if you know Chris D'Elia or not, or Delia, but I heard a rumor that he was at a coffee shop and the table was uneven that he was sitting at, and he took $600 and put it under the little edge of the, you know, the bottom corner of the table to fix it, and left it there when he left. So that's wild. And he has all kind of bathtubs in his house, and you know, somebody said he has a bathtub that has like a little, you know, like a little you know, like a all different type of soaps, like a little soap buffet on the edge of it. And that's different, man. I'm used to, you know, you get one kind of soap, you go in there, and it's like, oh, what kind of soap do we have? We got fucking soap. That's it. The only kind they ever had was just soap. And Chris D'Elia, probably has blueberry soap, you know, crystal, you know, soap that looks like soap, but it's just crystal, and it's not even really soap, it's actual crystal. And, you know, coconut soap, or, you know, different type of stuff, menthol, different type of varieties, because he's like that. But that's what I felt like when I got in first class, man. We got up there, and Ari, man, as he got bumped up with me, that lucky little fucktron, he got bumped up. So we're in, and man, they had lay down bed. Dude, first of all, if I'm laying down, you know what I'm saying, I'm putting one of my hands in my pants most of the time. And that, and that's not a pervert thing, that's just, you know, when I lay down, I like to, one of my hands automatically kind of goes into my pants. I don't know what that is. It must be for safety or something. Because a long time ago, I don't know if you guys have ever read like a lot of history books or the Bible, or, you know, different type of Muslim literature, or Slim literature, some people say. Instead of Muslim, a lot of people say Slim. If you've ever read a lot of Slim literature, or nature books, or even just seen, you know, a lot of dioramas and stuff from when we were children, you know that people were naked a long time ago. Clothes have only been around for probably 240 years. So after that, before that, man, it was straight up, you know, it was Dick City. You know, no offense, or, you know, it was also, you know, Vaginistan, but it was also Dick City. It was both. And so people were a lot more natural then, but it was also very dangerous, because you had to keep your crotch clean, because an animal could smell your body. You know, one of the top 4 places your body has a scent is your crotch. And so you know, an animal would notice that, and so you'd have to really cover your junk, you know, to really, because you don't want an anteater coming at night, you know, and siphoning your crotch right off your body. I mean, it's not something that people want. So you have to take care of yourself, and usually that's why I think, you know, there's something innate in us. There's something medieval and limbic in our brains. When we say go to bed at night, you cover your crotch with your hand. Because look, this is my livelihood. This is where I'm carrying the future of my lineage. I'm not out here trying to fucking, you know, feed a hyena in the middle of the night who's got a strong nose on him, and next thing you know, he's noshing on my sriracha. He's just trying to have a snack while I'm trying to rest. Come on. So that's nature, some of that, to cover your body while you sleep. But it was nice, the first class, man. It was really, really, really nice. And yeah, and you can lay down. And at one point they brought a warm cookie. they had a lady, her name, I think, I couldn't even pronounce it. She was like every ethnicity, Sherbaka or something, or Thumbelina. I don't know what her name was. Pretty beautiful, I think. I don't know. It's dark up there in first class. You get in a coach and they flow the floodlights on you. They interrogating back there. That's just witness protection up there. In the front, it's witness protection. But it was nice, man. So that was, look, I felt lucky that I got bumped up. I didn't pay for that. I got bumped into that. But people came out to the shows in D.C. We flew in on Friday and went straight to the shows pretty much. And I don't know if you guys came out to the comedy club, but I thought it was, it looked like about the last stop on the Underground Railroad. They had, I thought at first, I'm like, damn, this is a damn trap house. Any minute the Fed's going to bust through the windows and they're going to be searching, a couple people's orifices for, for cocaine and stuff like that. Dilaudid, all of that, pills. Not weed. Dude, remember they had that one kid who used to hide weed in his sphincter? What an idiot. I'd rather have gone to jail for weed than have to pull a couple joints out of my bottom. Come on, man. You better get with the Lord, bruh. Remember that? Like, I know, look, if you got, 6 or 7 kilos or some grams or, some, rare doubloons or, gold bullion, yeah, hide it in your fucking little, in that warm little locker, in that little hurt locker. But you got, you running around with, 6 buds of that purple rain or whatever it's called, emphysema black or whatever this, these different strands are called. They always had that one dude, the cops showed up and you guys, you have anything on you? Everybody's like, no, I don't have nothing. And then one of your boys in the back seat talked to another boy who's kind of been maybe questioning his sexuality and, uploading a couple of nugs into his bottom. Different times, man. But yeah, the show, and at first I was like, this place is wild. It seemed like a fire hazard. It seemed, I was like, this thing like a trap house. This seemed like it's on the Underground Railroad and nobody would even get off. Even runaway servants and stuff would be like, we'll go back, But it grew on me over time, and you know what? And you know why? Was because you guys came out. And there was just a lot of joy. A lot of joy, man. Some big hugs. There's always some dude comes out, talks about, sobriety. He's all coked out of his mind. He's like, you helped me. But then there's like other people who come out and, you just really feel that they, just have a lot of joy in their lives. And they're trying to make more joy. And that inspires me. And yeah, by the beginning, it's funny because whenever I relate with other people, I get less judgmental. Because the first day I'm at the club and I'm thinking, man, they had all kind of siding falling out, insulation. One dude, put a little bit of insulation in his book bag and fucking quit work. Like, damn, they doing whatever. They had a security guard. He was sitting down most of the time. And he kept asking me if his shirt fit okay. I said, dude, you're an insecurity guard. He asked me if he felt like his ears were a decent size for his body. Motherfucker, let's just chill, Papa. And at first I'm there and I'm judgmental. And they had, they just had it was an eclectic group. But we had, we made the most of it. And by the end of the weekend, I was having fun. And it's, I find whenever I just relate to others and don't think about other, whenever I just communicate with people, a lot of my judgment goes away. And I was finding some joy. But so they had some wildcats that came out in D.C. This crazy Mexican chick named Bobo. What? Bobo? How are you going to be named after a children's injury? Who named you that? Owie? Who's Owie? You got a cousin named Owie? Oh, this is Bobo and Owie. So that was unique. Who else came out? We had a gentleman, it was his birthday. Somebody made me a Rat King belt. It was pretty cool. Your boy Copernicus. Somebody gave me a nice gift. I haven't opened it up yet. Today's podcast is brought to you by MNML Case, Minimal Case. It's the world's thinnest phone case. That's right. It's just 0.01 inches thick. Man, that is so thin, someone said. New iPhone X's, XR are in stock, and new Pixel 3s are in stock as well. You can get cases for those phones. Showcase the beauty of your phone. Imagine your phone wants to go out to a nice dinner, at Ruth's Chris or, Shanghai Diamond or something fancy Chinese place. Wouldn't you want it to be in a sexy dress? Well, this is just that. The MNML Case, Minimal Case. It's super thin. You're going to be shocked how thin it is, okay? It is so thin. Now, this isn't something, if you're going to take your phone off-road and you're going to throw your phone at your cousin, because he's been drinking and he stole something, then that's between y'all. Don't do that in this case. But you have a 100% money back guarantee. If you are unhappy for whatever reason, they'll refund the purchase of the case. No need to even send the case back. So you can, our TPW listeners, get 20% off by visiting MNMLcase.com. That's MNMLCASE.com and use promo code Theo. That's promo code Theo for 20% off at MNMLcase.com. It is thin, man. You're gonna be shocked. You know what was crazy this week in Washington, D.C.? People came out and they had that ridge, that front pocket carry. And we live in a dangerous time sometimes these days. Actually, I think we always have. Actually, I think it was way more dangerous maybe 100 years ago when people were, fighting the plague and shooting each other, and stealing each other's gold. But also, right now, you may need protection. Well, protect yourself, protect your money with the Ridge wallet. This thing can stop a bullet, dude. What kind of bullet? I wouldn't try and find out. But the Ridge wallet is that front pocket carry. A lot of people are still carrying stuff on their back and their butt. What are you, a drug mule? No. Take care of yourself. Get that Ridge wallet, that front pocket carry. Carries your credit cards, carries your ID, small, concise, put it up front, bang, bang. Bang, bang. Get that hitter. You can go to ridgewallet.com/Theo and use promo code THEO at checkout for 10% off. That's code THEO for 10% off at ridgewallet.com/Theo. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And now back to the episode. And some people came out and just talked about sobriety and stuff like that, or people, just all types. A lot of loving people. One guy came out and, just really wanted to express to me that he was grateful for the podcast being a place to hang out. And man, that made me feel good. It made me feel good. I'll tell you this, man. The holidays are here. It's going to come quick. So you have to plan ahead right now to get some gifts for people. And sometimes, man, a nice gift for somebody these days especially can even be just a nice video that maybe you have a friend edit. Maybe your grandparents don't get to see their kids, the grandkids or something a lot. Maybe making them something special. That's a nice free gift you can make. Or something cute could be, what if you dressed your kids up like the grandparents? Give your kid a little cane or something, and maybe a couple, a little sack of prunes, and maybe a little, like a shirt, like a little butler outfit or something, and some spectacles. And then you send your kid out That could be kind of neat. I don't know. But yeah, that could be a fun video you can make for senior citizens. What else is going on? Made it into D.C. We made it through the Sunday night. It's Sunday night here. I'm still in Washington, D.C. We went to the Portrait Museum. That was enjoyable. And they have all the portraits of all the presidents in there. I learned that they have Secret Service, like security for President Trump, but then he also has his own security. So there's like double security running around all the time, which I think is just kind of wild and crazy, and just maybe it's just exemplary of our times. You know, that nobody feels like they can trust each other at these government levels. And I think some of that's good. I think a shakeup is good, man. You know, change is always kind of tricky, but it's really the thing that's, can kind of show us new opportunities. I believe that. What else, man? I'm just grateful to be in America. Man, really seeing, like, when you come here and you see all the people that are like tourists and just, and people just like crying at different monuments and expressing their gratitude, or sharing a story with their kids about something, a battle that their father was in, or it's beautiful, man. It makes you think about, how far this country has come and what it is. And it makes you think about kind of your place in it anyway. It was for me. It was making me think about, about being an American. And just grateful that I can, I got a holiday season coming up where I can, make a lot of joy. And that's good shit, bruh. Joy is probably one of the top 60 or 70 things. But yeah, a lot of good people came out. Thank you so much for coming out in D.C. That's the club. I thought it was haunted. They had, people in the bathroom saying Candyman 6 times and shit. People disappeared. Some guy said his wife left him. I mean, the place had a wild vibe to it. And they was people slanging tater tots and doing that, and stuffed little peppers that have been, infiltrated with cheese and shit, all type of stuff. They had a tray of meats in the back, and it was something, man. It was something else, and a lot of good people came out. So thank you very much. What else do I want to tell you guys? Oh, I'll tell you guys this. We do have some new shows coming up that are on sale now. And the House of Blues show in New Orleans has sold out. That's what I heard. And that's the day after Christmas. So I'm excited about that. I was texting with Dustin Poirier from Louisiana. And there's a rumor that he's going to be fighting Irish guy. Sells alcohol. Still fights, though. What's his name? Conor McGregor. So they're going to fight. So that's pretty exciting. So I'm going to kind of keep my eyes open for the date on that and cheer on a little bit of Louisiana. Chris Hansen is on this week. Dude, he came in the studio. Chris Hansen. And when you get around him, he is Chris Hansen. You forget, like, fuck, I wonder what it's like to be Chris Hansen. And then you're around him and you're like, fuck. Man, it makes you feel good, that you're on the up and up in some of those areas. It makes you feel good that you don't live in countries where, children are meeting adults, and stuff like that, and vice versa. And, dude, it was an experience. And sometimes I like interviewing. I don't know if I know that much about it, about being an interviewer. I don't know if I know that much about it. But a lot going on this week, man. I wanted to talk about sobriety and stuff like that, but I just have a little bit of a headache, and I wanted to be able to drop more into it a little bit. And I still may. Let me see how I'm feeling in just a few minutes. But I want to tell you about these tour dates coming up. The House of Blues in New Orleans. Omaha Funny Bone, January 11th and 12th. Irvine Improv, January 18th through the 20th. I will be back at Addison Improv. I'll be there this Thursday, but then I'll also be there January 25th and 26th in Addison, Texas. Columbus Funny Bone, Columbus, Ohio, February 8th and 9th. And then the Houston Improv, February 22nd and 23rd. So those are shows that you can get on board. And I'm excited to be going to some new places. Oh, man. What a week. What else happened? Dude, this city is diverse. Wow. I don't even know. I don't know what's going on. It's like, damn, like the library. You ever been to the library, dude? The library's fucking diverse as fuck. And, yeah, it just feels, what does it feel like here? It feels like House of Cards, like you're walking around in House of Cards. Like people thinking they got secret information. You see like a dark car go by and you're like, who is that? You know, a diplomat, some shady fuck, who is it? You know, Martha's Vineyard, who is it? Martha Stewart, I mean. So pretty interesting, I guess. What else, man? I'll tell you this. I am... Here, I'll tell you how I got sober, man. We'll get into it. You know, I've been talking about it for a while, and there's never really like a right time to talk about that sort of thing, but I do want to be able to share it with you guys. Because sometimes people ask about it and wonder what's up, and then, you know, I'll just tell you how I got into that. So, you know, I was born, my father was an old man. My dad was 70 years old when I was born, and my mother was 32. And they had 4 children. And, you know, when I was born, I think there was some shame or uncertainty by my parents. They had me call my dad by his first name instead of calling him Dad, because I guess maybe they'd gotten a lot of, you know, strange looks from people or judgment. And maybe they felt like that was a way that would make it easier on them and maybe on us too. But my father was very old when I was born, and as I started to get to know him, I was just kind of scared because, you know, he was a senior citizen and he just kept getting older. Like as I was getting older, he was getting older. And I remember, you know, when walking to church one time, and I had to like walk him, like make sure he was okay where he was stepping. And, you know, just what the concrete was like. And so he didn't, you know, trip and that sort of thing. And so it just made me, I think, hyper aware. When I was really young, I was very aware. And my mother worked a lot, and she wasn't really connected to me. You know, she just worked a lot, and she had to work. You know, she had 4 children. And my parents got divorced, and we lived in we moved to like a poor area, and I guess I just started to feel like ashamed. You know, I felt ashamed of the fact that my family was poor. I felt ashamed that my dad was old and couldn't be like as much a part of my life in a lot of ways, because physically it was hampering to him, and then because my parents were separated and then he wasn't around. And, you know, I started making up stories. I would tell people stories to make my life different than it was. You know, I would tell people, you know, I would take the school bus sometimes to a different neighborhood and get dropped off and then walk, because I didn't want people to see where I lived. And I would started riding my bike to school. I'd ride my bike maybe 5 miles to school when I was in middle school. You know, and that's 5th grade, and maybe that's not wild, but at the time it didn't feel wild to me. You know, it felt like this is what I need to do to feel okay. so, my peers won't judge me, and they may not even have been judging me. I just felt, I don't know, I guess I just felt judged. I felt less than. I don't know. Honestly, I didn't know. Sometimes I didn't really feel anything. But I knew that if I showed up at school on the poor bus, then people knew I was poor. And I already felt bad enough because nobody was telling me in my world, like one of my parents, that I could feel okay about myself. I didn't have there wasn't a father around. And this isn't a sob story I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm trying to tell you how I ended up getting into Alcoholics Anonymous. For me, I'm not saying you need to do this. I don't know your life. I don't know your world. If you were doing an 8-ball right now and listening to this, bruh, and eating somebody's butt, you met or whatever, do your thing. I'm not judging you at all, man. I wish I was right there with you. One day I may be back. But for now, this is where I am. So I just felt, less than. I didn't know anything about myself, how to feel good about myself. So the only way I knew to feel good was if I could make you like me. I needed you. I only decided how I felt based on how you felt about me. And it went from moment to moment. And so I was a storyteller because I wanted my life to be different to other people. And so I told stories. And also I liked making people laugh because I knew that if they were laughing, then they were okay with me. They couldn't be hating me and laughing at the same time. My sister, I had a younger sister who was very ill. She was born with a rare liver disease and she needed a liver transplant upon her birth. And so when my mother did have free time, a lot of time my sister got the affection because she was ill. And she got a lot more love and affection than my brothers and sister, my other brother and my other sister did, I felt like. Anyhow, I was, growing up, and one thing I really loved was summertime. I would go to YMCA summer camp. And at summer camp, things weren't as cliquey. Everybody was on the same page. It was a group of kids in the summer that just wanted to have fun. We got to do fun stuff. We all, rode on a bus together from the camp to go to field trips. And I just loved that. And, and people didn't, it just wasn't as judgmental. My mom would drop us off there and we'd stay there and go to summer camp, and it just felt like less judgment. And one day I was walking in my neighborhood, and one of the counselors from my summer camp drove down the street. He happened to be driving through my neighborhood, and he saw me in this neighborhood. And it was our neighborhood was poor, man. It was, I think it was the poorest white neighborhood that was around us, I felt like. And then when I saw him at summer camp, he was joking with some of the other counselors. He was making fun of where I lived. He was making fun of, he was making fun of the place he saw me run out of, the apartment I ran out of. And it just, at that point, like something inside of me just really kind of died. Something, like here was this one place where I really felt kind of okay. And now that place didn't feel okay to me anymore. So, so high school went on, and God gave me some good gifts, and I was a storyteller, and, I was always concerned though, like, I always needed to be around more people, or everything was always started to be, we need to change this, we need to do that. I'd go to a party and then I'd have to go to another part. Like, where's the party? Well, we're at the party. Something never felt kind of okay. I just never felt okay. I always felt like I was trying to make things okay. And things weren't bad. I had some great times. I was having fun. But on the inside, I was I didn't know who I was at all. I didn't have any beliefs. I didn't have any real values. And how I felt about me was based upon how you felt about me. And when I was 14, I got emancipated. You know, I couldn't live at my family's home anymore. My brother had moved away to live with my grandparents, and he and I weren't close. And after he'd moved away, you know, I'd spent a lot of time in our room by myself. And it made me, I think, real sad because my brother's bed was in there and my bed was in there. You know, and every kind of like year, every 6 months, he would say, you know, or my mom would say he might come back and live with us again. And he didn't come back. You know, and I don't fault him for it or anything. He, you know, he had his own walk with our environment, and he needed to find a place for him to be well. And he's gotten very well over the years. And anyhow, so, but it all, like, I was just in this room and I wanted things to be different, and I was a scared kid, you know. And this is before I moved out of my mother's home, and I just remember being really scared. I remember being at night that, you know, our neighborhood was scary. And it was just, we grew up like it was, you know, kind of poor white and poor black was like right over from us. And it was just, you know, it was scary. When people get real impoverished, like things get scary. And I was just scared. And at night I was a scared kid. I remember like I would wet the bed all the time, you know. And I remember there was one time when I was young, I heard that if an animal had urinated somewhere, that other animals couldn't come get that animal. And so I remember at that point, sometimes I would urinate off my bed, around my bed in a big circle at night so that things couldn't come get me. You know, I was just creating this crazy like world inside of me that was a lot of fear, and there was a lot of uncertainty, and there was not a lot of systems inside of myself to make myself feel okay. And my mother and I were just disconnected, man. You know, she gave us birthdays and she gave us holidays, but she had to work hard. And I think that she, you know, I don't know if she had the tools really to make me feel loved, you know? So anyhow, I got emancipated at 14. I ended up living with a family for the first time. I had my own room, and I had peace. I had some peace in my life. I mean, just like moments where I just felt like I could relax a little bit. But this thing inside of me of not feeling okay was still very much there. And, you know, I developed issues with women where, you know, I had a really tough time relating to women and trusting women and feeling okay and really being able to commit to relationships. And at some point, you know, life went on, things were going okay. But I started using at some point cocaine a little bit. And I liked cocaine because I would get it and do it by myself at home at night. And I would just do it, and it just made me feel good, and I didn't have to be around other people. And I don't know, it just made me feel something. It made me feel something. I mean, for so long inside of myself, I'd had so many years really of creating my own feelings on the outside of me, but not really having them inside of me. You know, like, I just didn't have feelings inside. Like, if I wanted to feel something, I had to think it up and then act it out and display it as I'd seen it displayed in like television or movies or from others. But the inside of me, there wasn't a lot going on. So anyhow, like and I wasn't getting crazy into drugs or anything like that, but I had one night where I ended up in a taxi cab, and a woman said something to me, kind of rejected me in like a mean way. And I hadn't done anything wild. I just, had expressed some interest, and she expressed interest, and then I returned the expression, and then she was mean to me. And she didn't reject me. Rejection is fine, but she was mean to me also. And next thing you know, the taxi driver dropped her off. We were in a taxi, and next thing you know, I end up with the taxi driver. 4 hours later, me and him are doing cocaine together, and I'm driving the taxi, and he's in the back with an escort. He bought me an escort. I don't want no escort. Luigi, that was the guy's name. And we're in North Harlem, and I'm driving a taxi, and the meter is still running. I'm still paying for that taxi. And that morning I was in New York because I had to be on a big radio show called the Opie and Jim Norton radio show. And they had like 1 million listeners, and it was a huge opportunity. And if you'd asked me the night before, hey man, are you going to stay up all night partying before you go into the radio? I'd have said, no way. I would never do that. And then here I was in this moment, and it's 5 a.m. I got to go to the radio. I got to my hotel after driving taxi and then paying for it. Dude, just blown out of my mind. Dude, I couldn't feel my face with either hand. At first I thought something was wrong with my hands, but then I realized something wrong with my face. And I get to the radio station. Dude, I took 3 showers in 10 minutes before I went there. So you want some really, some svelte dust if you're taking 3 showers in 10 minutes and drying off between each one. And that's cocaine, papa. And I get to the radio station, and the other guest, and I can't even talk. And the other guest for the day was Darryl Strawberry, who was a Hall of Fame baseball player. And you can look him up, and he's one of the greatest baseball players ever, but his career was really altered by cocaine. And here he was. I was on the radio with him. I had collected his cards when I was young, and I couldn't even talk. The main gift that God had given me was my voice, and I couldn't even use it because I'd been up all night just using drugs to feel good somehow, or using drugs to feel anything. And that was crazy because I'd always thought in my head, oh, Darryl Strawberry, you thought about him and you thought, oh, he's on drugs, he's this and that, he ruined his life. But then here he was in front of me. He was 13 years sober. He was eloquent, successful. And he was a dang king sitting in front of me. And at one moment, that's where some things lined up in my life. That's where some things lined up in my mind and said, oh, hey, look, here you are with this gift you think you have that you can communicate. You can't even talk because you fucked up, bruh, because you've been out driving taxi. And here you are with somebody who you thought or had judged as being fucked up. And here he is a king. And it just lined things up in a perfect moment where I just had this moment of like, oh, something needs to change for me. And the next day I was back in Los Angeles. I was telling that same story to someone, and they said, hey man, I go to these meetings, I go to meetings. And so then I went to some AA meetings, and and for the first time in my life, I sat down and listened to people tell stories, which were my favorite thing to hear. My whole life, I'd been loving stories, man. I love your story. Whatever your story is, I love it, man. Because all my life when I was young, I just wanted a different story. I wanted a different story. Whether I had to tell it or try and live yours, whether I had to get emancipated and come live at your house or this house or that house. I just wanted a different story, man. I wanted to be in a family, and I wanted to feel loved, I just really, I think, and I didn't even know it. I didn't know how much I wanted to, be loved, man. I just didn't even know it. And once I got into these rooms, you had to sit there, you had to be quiet, and you had to hear other people. And people started talking and telling their stories. And for the first time in my life, they were telling emotional, like, tales that were exciting and fucking dope and, like, deep and real. And I connected with that. I loved it. I loved it. And so I just kept going. And next thing you know, I was like next thing you know, I had a couple nights in a row, or a couple weeks in a row, or months in a row where I was spending time with other people, and I was meeting people, and like suddenly Los Angeles became like this place that I'd always kind of hated and judged. It became a little bit, I still don't like that place. People are out of their fucking minds out there. Bunch of disconnected kooks judging most of the rest of America. But it also it gave me a place to it just gave me friends. It gave me people. And because I know those people had struggles, I knew that they'd felt some of the same ways that I felt inside. I couldn't judge those people, you know. Even though sometimes I wanted to. You know, you'd have a dude come in and like, you know, he'd lost his family, or he'd lost his kids and been taken away by the courts, and he's drinking, or a woman who'd addicted to heroin, and she's, you know, hadn't seen, and finally they're getting their lives back together, and you just, you know, they say like, listen for the similarities, not the differences. And I always, in my life, sometimes I'd always wanted to listen for differences, because differences gave me an ability to separate me from other people. And if I'm just me by myself, then I know that I'm okay, because it's the only thing I've ever known. The only way I've ever been okay really is by being by myself. I don't know an okay where I'm attached to others, you know, where I trust others at like a place deeper than my own feelings, a place that I don't really know. But for the first time in these rooms, I could do it. You know, for the first time in these rooms, like I started like, man, I had love for people that I did not even know. And then in moments, and still this stuff kind of comes slow, but I start to have love for myself, you know. And the hardest thing for me to do in my life has been to love myself, because, you know, somewhere in my life, in my story, or when I was young, or I don't know when, you know, I think just because of, you know, maybe my, you know, dad being so old, and, you know, my mom not feeling like my mother cared about me, or whatever. It's not a sob story. I'm not telling you that, but I'm just telling you that I'd never really loved myself, because somewhere in my past, and like a long time before that, I guess I just had felt like I wasn't worth it. You know, and it's sad, it's tough to kind of admit some of that, but and it wasn't a choice I made even like consciously. It's not like somebody said, hey, are you worth loving yourself? I would have said yes. But somewhere deeper than that, like somewhere when I was young, or when, I don't know, but just somewhere before that, you know, I just decided that I wasn't, you know, I just looked at my surroundings, and I don't know, I just had felt, or my life, or whatever the recipe was that was in my life, I looked at that, and I was like, oh yeah, you don't deserve, or you're not good, or you're bad, you're a bad person, or something. I don't know. I still don't know. You know, there's still a lot for me to learn. Anyway, this story is a little bit emotional for me, but you know, this is the story that I tell. And so since I got into going to meetings and stuff like that, and look, I wasn't a cokehead. I have friends that are cokeheads. My coke use was probably, it was over a couple years, maybe once every few months, maybe 3 times a year, 4 times a year. But then there was a point over about 3 weeks, or maybe 6 weeks, I don't know, where it had escalated, and it was just kind of like, it was like once a week, and then it was like, you know, the last 2 weeks it was like 2 or 3 times a week, you know. I mean, I'm pissed sometimes. I'm like, fuck, I wish I never even got to smoke crack. You know, I don't want to be a crackhead, but fuck, you know, I'll take a hit or two just to see, you know, what everybody's talking about down at the down at the Greyhound, you know. But since then, you know, in this program, I've learned, like, you know, I don't feel alone. I don't feel as alone as I used to. And I'm learning to have different feelings about myself and different ways to think about myself. And it's a program of action, though. Like, I have to work and I have to, like, go to, you know, some of these meetings. And I go to the meetings, man. And it's so funny that God used, or my higher power. People say higher power, God, whatever. You know, I believe in God. I believe in God. You know, and so much out here in, like, this business I'm in, they try to, like, make you feel like it's not cool to do that. But I'm not going to feel that way for me, because I need that. You know, in the program too, that, you know, the AA, it's cool because it's not about the drugs and alcohol, man. You know, I never liked drinking. I was never a pothead. I just started to see, like, oh man, if you'd asked me one day, will you go to this great opportunity you have on this radio station with, you know, one of the biggest radio shows in the world, would you go on that fucked up? I'd have said, no way. And then here I was doing something that I wouldn't have done. So that's when I realized, like, you know, I wasn't even doing things that I really wanted to be doing. And now my life has gotten better, man. It really has. And sometimes I don't even want to admit that. You know, there's something inside of me sometimes that wants to make me separate from other people, you know? There's something that wants to make me alone, because it's part of the only way that I ever knew how to be. And man, it has been a journey. Nothing with the drugs and alcohol has been whatever. You know, I don't know if I'll always be sober. I have no idea. But the thing that keeps me involved is, man, I get to learn so much about myself, about loving others, about acceptance. It's introduced me to other issues that I have that, you know, maybe drugs and alcohol aren't even my issue. It's just introduced me into a world of, like, introspection. Like, for the first time, I can take a look at myself. And I still look, I got a ton of faults. I'm not, but I know that if I stay, like, on this path, that things can get better. I believe that because there's proof for me. You know, my career has gotten better. You know, I've met people that have loved me. You know, I've been in and out of a relationship with somebody that loved me, you know, for one of the first times in my life that I really felt that. Not that other people hadn't loved me in the past, but this was the first time I could feel it. You know, and it's just because something had changed inside of me where, you know, where I didn't need to just have all these walls up or whatever to survive anymore. Like, you know, I think my higher power wants to tell me, look, man, you're going to be okay. You know, you can take a break, you know. And anyway, you know, I don't know, you know, I don't know if I'll always be a part of this program or not, but, you know, for the first time in my life, like, this story, like, that's you know, I can tell you a true story. You know, all the years of, like, having to lie and, like, you know, be ashamed of who I was or what I was or anything like that. Like, it's still okay to tell stories. It's okay to create and be, you know, want to bring people together and be a storyteller and think about things, and that's all okay. But for the first time in my life, I have a little bit of a story of my own. You know, and there are moments, you know, not always, but there's moments where I don't feel as ashamed of myself as I did for so long, man. You know, I was so ashamed of myself for things I didn't even, nothing, really, for nothing. Just because at a young age, nobody had told me not to be ashamed of myself. You know, nobody had told me, hey man, you're okay. You know, nobody had told me, hey man, you are okay. And you're not a bad person. So, and that's what keeps me coming back to these programs, man. And the shit is lit. And it's fun, man. And every time I go, I get to hear a story that makes me feel. It makes me realize that I have a heart and that I'm a loving person. Because for so much of my life, I wanted to know that about myself. And now I go into these rooms and I hear other people's stories and I feel a certain way. And there is proof right there inside of me, living inside of my body through feeling and through love. And that's dope, man. This shit is fucking dope. And so that's kind of where I'm at, man. I would, it's 11 p.m. now here on, and I had some calls, man. Look, I want to play one or two calls that came in. And I'm sorry, look, I'm not sorry about my story, but I'm sorry, I had a headache. I didn't want to tell that story tonight because I wanted to be able to tell it best as I could. And it's hard to think sometimes when your head is hurting, But, my relationships have gotten better these days. My brother and I mean, I'm so close to my brother these days, like it's, it's wild. And I've met like a couple of the greatest people I've ever met, like through AA. I've learned about like unconditional love and things like that. Not things that I'm able to practice yet, but at least for the first time in my life, I'm aware of some of these things. And more will be revealed, man. That's what they say in that program. More will be revealed. And you can develop a relationship with a higher power. You can do what you want. They got coffee. They got shitty cookies. It's a fucking trap house, but where people get together to share good time, real time. And look, it's just like the comedy club this weekend, man. Dude, you could, in one room, you probably could have bought a gram in there. But in that other room, dude, we made some damn magic this weekend. Bro, we lit that motherfucker on fire. And I'm grateful to everybody that came out. It's the holidays. I'm so excited, man. I get to go home. I have I got 5 nieces and nephews today that love me, and even if they don't, I get to watch like my siblings be parents. I get to watch my siblings love their children in a way that we never got to experience. And I'm awake for that. And that's cool, man. That for me, man, this shit is a ride, bro. This shit is a ride. So I know this shit got a little bit emo on this episode, and I know it looks like I'm interrogated. This is not an ISIS interrogation video. If you look it on YouTube, it really looks like a trap house. But I feel. And I don't, sometimes they say, you're not supposed to talk about sobriety in a public forum and stuff like that, but whatever, man. I've never been somebody to follow really the rules, I don't think. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. But I'm so grateful to everybody that came out this weekend because they changed my experience. On Thursday I was kind of stressed, or Friday I was like, this place. And by the end I was like, man, it doesn't matter where we are. At our shows, we have a good time. And we do it as, at a fair price. And I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful to the group of people that I get to be a part of now, even at my own shows. At our shows, we get to do that. And I feel like we're going to do a lot of cool stuff in the coming year to help others. And I just appreciate it, man. What's interesting too for me is like this podcast, a lot of times, even over the years, like maybe there was a time or two I thought on a Saturday night, man, I'm going to get fucked up, But then I had to be here for this podcast on Sunday. And so, I don't know. Maybe, you guys kept me out of the dark sometimes here and there. And again, if you're partying, you drinking, you getting fucked up, if I'm at your house, you're doing coke, I don't care. That's fine. If y'all shooting up, I'm leaving, bro. Okay? If you fucking wrote haystack on your arm and you fucking needling yourself, I'm out, daddy. But if you guys, your cousin's on fucking 9 Tylenol and y'all blowing a blunt in the G-Raj, bro, I'm fine. I don't care if you drink. I don't care if you fucking, pour meth down your fucking stepdad's, esophagus. That's okay. You can do whatever. You don't have to adjust any of your life. For me, anything like that. People don't need to be, there's nothing, you don't have to be weird around these kind of people. My biggest problem, I realized it wasn't with drugs or alcohol. My biggest problem was with the way that I felt. And I am relieved of some of that. And I'm learning more all the time, man. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And I'm so thankful that in a weird way, like all those times of storytelling and lying to people and just, I just wanted to seem okay to them, lying about, where my dad was or who he was, or, lying about why I was walking through somebody's neighborhood after school because I didn't even live in that neighborhood, and just all kind of stuff, man. It's interesting because all that time of storytelling now, the things that didn't serve me before, now it serves me. Now I'm able to go to a place and and share stories. So, I think, God works in mysterious ways, man, and also in unmysterious ways, but also in way motherfucking mysterious ways. But thank you guys so much for being here with me this weekend. I'm going to take one call, man, because, a lot of calls have come in about this over the years, and I want to do an episode about people that have been involved, but I want to hear this guy's call. Oh, here we go.
Hey, Mr. Theo Vaughn. My name's Sam from New Jersey.
What's up, Sam? Thanks for calling. In New Jersey, I did a show up there in a Holiday Inn. In a Holiday Inn, I don't know if you ever, damn, I got snot nose like a dang child. If you ever been to Holiday Inn or not, but it is it used to be nice and now it's not, but it smells like chlorine sometimes in the lobby, or it used to. Onward.
And I just wanted to get your opinion on, since you're sober, for someone who's considering or making attempts to get sober as well, stop drinking, any tips, like when you first started out, especially dealing with social situations, how you keep yourself, on the straight and narrow?
Word up, man. I'll tell you, for me, dude, it's up to you. If you think you're sober, you're not sober, that's your call. Only you know. I can't tell you if you are or not. I can't tell you if you need to be. I don't know if I'll always be. I might leave off this video screen and go gram up out in the street, son. It's Christmas, bro. It's snow time, dude. I might, hang up downside from a tree and catch a couple of flakes up my snout. But I might not. You know what, man? I just kind of embraced it a little bit. I told people in the beginning, I just don't drink. I'm taking a break, blah, blah, blah. And then in my line of work, man, some of my favorite comedians do not drink. They do not. Y'all know Chris D'Elia, my arch nemesis. And he's never had a drop of anything. Some of the greats, and right now in my life, it's just like, it's okay for me to kind of say that. And also, if you get into AA, there's so many other people that do not drink. It's crazy. You don't realize it. So anyway, so that's that, man. I don't think I'm cool because of AA or anything like that, but I don't think I'm not cool because of being sober. All right, let's hear another call.
Theo, Greg from Indianapolis.
What's up, Greg? And Greg is almost spelled the same backwards and forwards. Onward.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang, brother. Thank you.
Just wanted to call and say, I celebrated my 1 year sobriety yesterday. I'm sitting here listening to your podcast.
Man, congratulations, dude. I will say that. Congratulations. A year doing anything, I find, is really awesome. If you tell yourself you're going to read part of a book every day for a year, but if you're going to take a break from drugs and alcohol for a year, onward, man. I want to hear you. I want to hear more from you. Enough from me. Congratulations, Greg.
It's just crazy to me that how hard it is, but how rewarding it was, and how much you and everybody's helped me through this and made this year the best year of my life. Honestly, I just want to call and say thank you for all you've done for me. And I know you don't take compliments well, but I got to give them where they're due. And I just want to say I appreciate you and everybody else to really get me through what was the toughest thing to do in my life. Now is what's really the most rewarding for me. So I just want to call and say thank you. All right, man. Be easy on them out there, and gang, gang.
Gang, gang, man. And you're welcome, man. It's funny, I don't take compliments well. I don't even know why that's the case sometimes. But I learned the other day at a meeting, if somebody says something, just say, it's my pleasure. And And thank you for that call, because that makes me so excited, bro. You know, just to hear that, it's cool, dude. It's just cool. It doesn't make me excited because I didn't do anything. That's you did that. But to hear you feel excited about yourself, and to know that maybe for a long time in your life you didn't feel that way, and now you can voice that and feel good about yourself. I can relate to that, man. I can relate to that at such a level that, man, you just made me feel really, really good. So thank you, brother. I appreciate it. We'll get to some other calls next week because we still got to edit this cat and put it up. Man, this might be the Emo Nemo too. I don't know. We got into it tonight. You know, some people will at me and say, Theo, you shouldn't talk about sobriety and AA and stuff like that in a public forum, but maybe I'm fucking up. You know? I don't know. But I think at least for my listeners, you at least kind of have an idea now. And I don't need people, asking me, hey man, and you still, I don't need anybody check. I don't need anything like that. I don't need, I don't need anything special. I don't need any special treatment. I'm fine. So, I don't want you, sometimes people hear the word sober and they think it's this crazy thing. It's not a crazy thing. I wasn't ever in, but there's a lot of people that struggle. And if you meet one of them, at least now you have an idea that sometimes it has nothing to do with what's going on outside. Sometimes it's a lot of thing that's going on the inside. But inside and outside, so grateful for this podcast and for you guys coming out this weekend. We sold them out. They're sold out in Lexington this coming weekend. We're sold out in Addison. Man, I am fortunate to have to be able to meet so many neat people. So looking forward to it. We'll see you guys next time. And we'll leave out on that my boys Bishop Gunn, who are actually in town tonight. I just found out they're in town tonight here in Washington D.C. But I just got a text from Byrne a few minutes ago, the drummer. Yeah, they're in town. I don't think I'm going to be able to see them, but well, at least we can listen to them right here together. But if you're in Washington D.C., if you don't have tickets for them, I think they're here on Tuesday or something. They said they're performing, or Wednesday maybe. Have a great week. Be good to yourselves. And have a happy holiday season, man. And if you're still out there drinking, man, drink up. You feel me? Drink the fuck up, son. Have one for pop. Pop. Gang, man. You guys be good to yourselves. You deserve it, man. I know it. I absolutely know it.
I'm just sitting on your front porch, wondering how could I be so far from my home. And my mind is somewhere else, but when I find it, I'll patch up where it's been blown. Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be
cornerstone.
Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it.
Thank you guys, man, for being here. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. You set that parking brake and let myself unwind. Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my story. Shine on me. Just for you. Spike the punch, baby.
I've been moving way too fast on the runaway train with a heavy load of my
pants. Man, I'm so excited to go to New Orleans, dude. All my friends and family are gonna be there.
I've been riding on. They want so thin that they're damn near gone.
My sister has mold in her house. Fuck yeah, son. Let's do it. Thank you guys, man. Shine that light on me.
I'll sit and tell you my story.
Shine on me.
And I will find a song. I will
Sing it just for you.
And I will find the words to help you make it through. If you call my name, I'll sing them to you. Shine that light on me.
I'll sit and tell you my story. Happy holidays, man. You got this, huh?
Find a song. I will
Fuck
sing
them, man.
just for
You got this.